Hey everybody, what's up? Gary Simon here. So today is really exciting because we're doing another sort of interesting user interface sort of interaction. Just my last tutorial that I released a couple days ago, we were doing something similar. Today it's going to be in the same ballpark where we use GSAP, which is the Green Sock animation platform, to create some sort of cool micro interaction of sorts. So let me show you what we're going to do today. So if I refresh this real quick, we hover over this. That's all. We're just going to do a hover. Goodbye. Just kidding. Let's click on this. Ooh, that's snazzy. Look at that. And then we click on it again, and then it goes away. So unlike the last tutorial, we're not going to really spend much time in Adobe XD. I'm just going to show you the mockup real quick, but we're going to spend most of our time with the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can create this sort of cool looking, like a mobile-based navigation that you can use in your projects. And we're also going to show you what is called svgbox.net here. And this is the icons that I was using here, which is basically an API for web icons. I came across this earlier today and I figured I would use it. Very cool stuff. All right, so as always, make sure to subscribe and let's get started. In a recent study by Design Week, 70% of the respondents said that their company is investing more in interactive prototyping. So this is definitely a skill that you should consider adding to your repertoire. The sponsor of today's video, Framer, is here to help you level up. Framer is an intuitive, no-code tool making it easy for anyone to start prototyping. Pre-made insertable components, easy-to-use interactive features, and smart custom animations do all of the heavy lifting. You just have to put it all together. Once you're finished, send a link to your team, manager, or client to preview and blow them away with something you were able to put together in a matter of minutes. So sign up for free or get 20% off of any of the paid plans by going to framer.com/design course, and that link is right here in the description. All right, so I'm not going to be spending any time here in Adobe XD other than just to show you the idea of the design of what exactly I want it to look like. I didn't design the icons from scratch or anything. We're actually going to use a cool site that I just discovered for these icons. But the idea is that this is going to be like this little circular icon. These aren't going to show up by default, but you have to click on it, and then these will slide out and do some sort of animation to reveal themselves and then reverse. All right, so I'm going to minimize this. And by the way, we'll get to SVG Box in a second, but I have an empty folder here, Visual Studio Code. We're going to put in exclamation point, link. If you've seen any of my tutorials in the past, I'm always doing this general setup, CSS, and we're going to use Sass this time. There's a fair amount of markup and we can benefit from Sass, so we're going to watch that Sass right there. You're going to need the live Sass compiler plugin here in the extensions section, and you're also going to need the live Sass or the live server right here. So we're going to open this up in the live server, and that showed up on my other monitor. There we go, blank, nothing is there, of course. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna worry about our markup here. So it's fairly simple, but the structure, HTML structure, will start to make sense more so as we progress. Control B to get rid of that sidebar. And we're gonna wrap everything in a header tag. And then we're gonna have an image class or an image element with a source that's going to go to this right here. So this is svgbox.net, and it's an API for web icons. So basically, you don't have to host any of the files locally. You can choose from these different icon sets, and they all, basically work. So for instance, if we wanted a pattern background or something, actually, I don't want it. That's a bad. Let's just do the hero icons. There we go. If you want this, you just copy this code here. You can specify the fill color here in the parameter section, and then we just paste them in. So I'm just using like 5 random of these, and you'll see in a second. Let me paste that in here in the source. All right, so SVG box.net hero outline SVG fill is white, and then the actual the icon name is right here. All right, so I'm not going to bother with the alt just because I don't want to spend any unnecessary time coding stuff I don't need to. After this, nav, and I mean don't need to just for the purpose of this tutorial. Of course, you should always do that if it's a live project. Nav, we're going to have an unordered list, and then a list item, and then an A, nothing's going there. And then inside, we're going to have our different icons, the image sources from svgbox.net, like that. So just to save time, I'm going to copy and paste the rest of the other four. All right, so we have a cog, a cloud download, a chat, a beaker, and a bell. All right, and that's it for the HTML markup. That is it. So if we save this and we revert back to here, we don't see anything. That's strange. 5500, what is happening? Where's the HTML elements? Header, nav. Oh, it's because they're white. Ha 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 ha. That's why. All righty. Let's go to our main Sass and forget that I did that. All right. So body, we're gonna have a margin of 0, a height of 100 viewport height, a background of RGB 36, 40, 49. And that'll give us a dark. We should be able to see stuff now. Or not. Ah, yes. There they are. They're massive. We'll fix that. Don't worry though. Color is going to be white. Display is going to be grid, and place content center. I do this for these little, I do that a lot for these little demonstrations. All right. Now, after that, we're going to take our header. So that's the first HTML element. Display flex. And what that'll do is that will align these, this element, the nav element in the header, or this little image activator thing beside each other. By the way, it's kind of strange. I thought these would be loading. Why are they not loading up? Did I screw something up? Well, we'll figure it out soon. All right, next up, I'm sure it'll all work itself out. Maybe, maybe not. We'll figure it out, don't worry. Activator. All right, so padding is going to be 1 M unit. You know what, let's go ahead and move stuff around just so we can start seeing our changes. So let me collapse this real quickly. We'll drag this over here. All right, that's fine right here. All right, 1 M unit there. We're going to do a border radius of 100%. And cursor is going to be pointer. Position. Actually, we're not going to do position relative. Never mind. We're going to do and hover. And it's going to say background, RGB, 30, 33, and 41. All right. So activator. Let me make sure I actually have this. Yeah, because I forgot to put activator in there. This is going to actually have a class of activator and an ID. And that'll come in handy when you get to the JavaScript portion. So now if we hover over this, we can see that situation right there. All right, so next up after that, we're gonna have all of our images, which are our icons. We're just gonna say width is 100%, but max width will be 45 pixels. Now we can see them there. I knew something was preventing it from being shown. All right, so now we're gonna have our nav. And just for reference, our nav is right here. And we're going to say for our nav, we're going to give this a background of RGB 41, 46, and 56. You can see it's slightly lighter than the background that is on. Border radius, 0 on the top, 5 EM on the right, 5 EM on the bottom, and then on the left is 0. We're going to do a padding of 0.5 M units. And before I know this looks horrible, let's just move on to this part where we have UL and we say display flex. There we go. Let's put in unordered list right here just to list style type is none to get rid of those ugly little bullet points. Margin 0, padding 0, just to reset those to 0. And so all we're doing at this point is just recreating this over here. Our unordered lists. So we have display flex. We're going to take our list item A and we're going to say display block Have to do that if we want to add padding or margin. Otherwise, they won't work. All right, so just to show you, watch what happens. So if I take that away, the padding messes up. So we put display block. We're going to put margin 0 and point on the top and bottom, and then on the right and left 0.5 em units. All right, so we're spacing them out from each other. Border radius is going to be 50%. We can't see that, but only because we haven't applied a background color to it. Transition, we're going to transition the background color of 0.3 seconds, and then we're going to put a hover selector with a background of RGB and 50, 56, and 68. It's slightly lighter than the background it's sitting on. So now if we hover, there we go. We have a little transition. It's actually pretty quick. We probably could do without that. I think I like that better. Okay, so also our images, we're going to say opacity is 0 and transform, translate X -30 or 10 pixels. They're going to be hidden now, but that's in anticipation, obviously, for what we're about to do because the beginning state is they are going to be hidden and they're going to be pushed over on the left by 10 pixels. That is all for the actual HTML. All right. So now, oh, no, it's not. Our nav element needs to have a clip path applied to it because we're going to animate the clip path, and it's going to be an ellipse this time at 50%, 50%, at -50%, 50%. So if you're confused on exactly what that is all about, I would suggest just checking out the docs. 50%, when you start to experiment with the placement of these values, like if we change that from negative just to positive, and then maybe you start changing these values around, you'll see how everything starts to work together. So we're just going to put negative here. This is just basically pushing it off to the left over here, these coordinates, -50 over here. You'll see once we get into the GSAP portion how we'll animate that, and it's really cool. So now at this point, we're going to copy, and I'm going to have this on Codepen, by the way, if I don't forget. Two things, GSAP and the CSS rule plugin. If you want those, go to GSAP CDN, and we go to the library, this right here, and we say we want this one and then this one, the CSS rule plugin. That's what those are. All right. So now we're going to put our script. Oops. There we go. And now we have to get our card. So our card, let's see here. I want to make sure that I'm using this properly. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like, what am I doing here? I was looking at my reference code. Card is document.getElement, getElement rather, by ID, activator. So we want to get this right here, which is this image right here. So ID activator. And then we want to create a timeline for GSAP. We're going to put in some defaults. Ease. We're going to put power. We're going to use the one I did last tutorial. I like it. Power to in out. If you type in GSAP easings or ease or whatever, you'll see their easings. They're all demonstrated right here. This is power 2. And it just affects how the animation is applied. All right. So next up, we're also going to create a toggle variable, and we're just going to say it's a Boolean value of false initially, and you'll see how these all work together in a second. So now we are going to create a first timeline animation. So we're going to go to instead of from. So anything that is here is going to go to the values that we specify here. And so we're going to say activator. That's our selector. And background. So this is going to be our first part of our animation. We're going to change the background to 805 AD5. All right. And let's just leave it at that. And if we save it, you can see how it automatically transitions because we're not tying it to an event listener like hovering over it or clicking on it. So with that said, we have to pause this first. So we say TL pause like that. So that means it's not going to run yet. Now, we want it to run when somebody clicks it. So when somebody clicks this element here, which is card. So we say card, add event listener, on click, and we say toggle equals the opposite state of current toggle. So if it's false, make this true. So we toggle back and forth each time it's clicked. And then we're going to use a ternary operator, and we're going to say if toggle is true, then we're going to say TL play, else TL reverse the animation. So hopefully that makes sense. So we save it, we click it, and that part so far works, but we don't have it extending any type of the little drawer that slides out because we haven't created the animation in the code here yet for that. So on top of the background radius, we're going to also add a border radius. So border radius, and we do this in camel case. I mentioned this the last tutorial. I'll say it again if you're new to this one. Any type of CSS property that has a hyphen or a dash in it, in JavaScript, you can't do that. You just have to omit the hyphen and then capitalize the next letter or of the first word or whatever. So border radius is that's how that's specified. And then we're going to put 5 M units on the top, 0 on the right, 0 on the bottom right, and then on the left, it's going to be 5 M units. So you'll see how this works. You have to put a comma there. One thing I don't like about this is how you can see it very briefly if I refresh this. This right here, because we have this hover, it starts to like, it takes the rounded edges off on the left portion and it makes them square. I'm not sure how to fix that. I tried to fix it. I couldn't figure it out. Let me know if, you guys can figure out how to maintain this nice round edge here when we click. All right, so anyhow, you can see how it reverses as well. So it's really cool. Outside of that, let's create another one. So TL2 nav, we're gonna say clip path because we're hiding it through the clip path property currently in the main Sass file. And so over here, we're gonna say ellipse. It was 50% by 50%, but now it's 100% by 100%. At 50%, remember it was negative 50, so we're moving it into the middle now, and then 50%. And when we do that, let's hit save. Look at that, now it's come out. But we've hidden those other ones through opacity, if you recall. Now I want this drawer to slide out quicker after we click this button. Right, so the way we do that is with an offset in third parameter here, and we're going to put in negative equals like a ½ second. So it's going to start a ½ second sooner than it would have otherwise. Now it comes in faster. Very cool. Now after that, we have one more, TL2 nav image, which is referencing the icons. We're going to say opacity 1. Let's just check that out. There's also an offset of 0.5 seconds there as well. So now those kind of fade in, but we're going to do some more work on this real quick. Transform, translate X back to 0 because remember we put him off -10 pixels. And then also we're going to do a stagger animation. Let's just wait for that though. So they all kind of just come in at the same time. But if we add the stagger, 0.05, something very small, they'll come in sequentially. There we go. Look at that. And that's it. So let's expand this out. Now, one thing I think that could be done to improve this, like I said, outside of fixing that little corner issue on the top left and top bottom, I think also we could make this so that these little SVGI, the little arrows for the hamburger menu, they turn into like an X. once it's expanded. I was going to do that, but then I realized because I'm using this svgbox.net website, that's going to make it more difficult because it's not locally hosted. But I really challenge anybody to do that. I mean, it should be pretty simple to do with JavaScript, just to transition this element or even animate these little circles. You can definitely do that as well. So if you end up doing that, let me know in the comments and link it, and I will definitely approve the comment if you're linking to a website or whatever. So as always, make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this. Let me know if you want to see more of this sort of thing, and I will see you soon. All right, goodbye.